Welcome to the Album of the Week podcast. My name is Vic, and I have my wonderful co-host here with me, Jesse. How you doing, Jesse?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. We're missing our third co-host again here this week. Our friend Chris is out catching Pokemon. He's out there somewhere causing Pikachu's problems and whatnot.
Yeah, he's still trying to catch them all, but I'm pretty sure he's almost done, so he'll be with us soon, hopefully.
And when he does, it's going to be really good banter, and we're going to keep talking about music. This week, we're going to have a special review episode of an older album, and I think we're going to call it, what should we call it? Throwback Review?
Throwback Review?
Let's call it Throwback Review. The stipulation of Throwback Review will be an album that's out at least 10 years. Has been out for at least 10 years, and this album fits just barely into that description. It's been out for 10 years, and this album is actually called Radiodread by Easy Star All-Stars. This album is a cover album of Radiohead's OK Computer, released in... Shit, I don't even remember what was the release date on that.
Are we talking about Radiohead's OK Computer? That came out in 1997, I believe.
97, that sounds about right. And Radiodread came out in 2006. So this album is actually one that was okayed by the band Radiohead. A little background on Easy Star All-Stars. They are, what you call it, a collection, a musical collection of musicians. And so it's, a core band with a bunch of guests that come on and play different instruments and come on to guest MC. I actually found this album through listening to the first album they released, which was Dub Side of the Moon, which is a cover of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, I should say, yeah. And that album is really great too, but this Radiodread hit a little closer to home because I'm a fan of Radiohead, and this album was very interesting. What did you think about it, Jess?
When I first heard it, I've never listened to this before, so I had no idea what to expect, if the songs were going to sound exactly like Radiohead with a little bit of reggae on it, or they're just going to be completely like musically structured differently in a reggae form. So I was kind of happy to hear that they kept most of the tones in the same kind of key the Radiohead songs are in. So when you listen to it, they didn't really do much to kind of like ruin a great song or a great album, which OK Computer is probably arguably one of the best Radiohead albums of all time.
I think Radiohead's OK Computer is actually, personally, my favorite. There's a few that I really enjoy. I like In Rainbows as well, and Kid A, obviously, really great album. But OK Computer has more of the deep cuts that I really like. And just like you, the first time I listened to it, I was intrigued because reggae is mostly they kind of keep it simple, but they have very strong sounds. But it was interesting to see covered an entire album of such a complex band, and I think they did a pretty great job. One of the interesting quotes that I ended up reading about this as they were coming out, they were talking about how Radiohead has kind of darker lyrics, not necessarily the happiest lyrics, but real stuff, real stuff. And they said that reggae has always been able to tackle, the real stuff and the deep stuff, as well as the light, happy, love stuff as well. And I found that to be true. And I think they found on a lot of tracks, they found a way to pep up some songs that aren't necessarily the happiest songs, or
Right.
don't necessarily have the, brightest tone to them originally, but they still kept the feeling of the original songs. They still kept the essence. It has all the reggae elements of a traditional reggae album. It also has all the elements of a Radiohead album. They didn't really betray the sound that Radiohead has, but they didn't also just completely copy them, which I thought was really great.
Right, and I thought that was huge that they didn't, like I said earlier, they didn't go away from that Radiohead sound. They kept it true to its album work, and they added their own touch to it, and I think it worked out.
I'm really amazed by the ensemble of musicians they have on there. I don't know how familiar you are with reggae music. Like I said, I'm a big reggae fan. Just some of the names on here are absolute legends. Horace Andy, Sugar Minot, the Toots and the Maytals are on here. Citizen Cope, he's not necessarily a legend, but I think he comes out with some really good music. I have a bunch of his stuff, and he's not necessarily reggae, but I think he's a pretty underrated guy, and it was great to see him on there. Morgan Heritage, which I've seen in concert a couple times. Don't let me forget, Israel Vibrations is on it too, and these are all big names in reggae music, and to get participation from all these bands and all these musicians was crazy. And I didn't really know about all these musicians that were on here until we started doing the research. I've heard this album many times. I'm the one that introduced it to us, and it was absolutely crazy to see all these musicians' names that are popping up, and it made sense after I saw the names. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, I think each track feature a different musician just about every track, so there's definitely a unique vibe to each one of these tracks. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, and like I said, the base of the band, they were studio musicians that played on all these legendary reggae albums. They decided to get together and kind of do stuff like this. Like I said, they did Dub Side of the Moon. They did this Radiodread album. They've covered Michael Jackson's Thriller, and they're all really great in my opinion. If you're a reggae fan, I should say, if you're a reggae fan and you're a rock
A music fan in
or a
general.
music fan in general, yeah, they cover pretty much everything, and you can kind of see that these musicians are that. They're musicians, not just, reggae bass line players and reggae this and that. They're actual musicians and got the luck of the draw because we actually did a drawing. We put a bunch of our requests in for this one, and luckily mine came through, and I thought this was a really good way to start these throwback reviews. So we're going to start our staple segment, Love It and Hate It. And Jess, you're a Radiohead fan, yeah?
Yes.
It's going to be good to get your perspective because you probably are more familiar with them than I am, although I do like Radiohead. I'm not completely immersed into the Radiohead music as I am other bands. It's going to be interesting to get your take on your Love It and Hate It. So, Love It and Hate It, you pick one that you loved, one that you hated, and I guess why. Maybe because it sounded similar, and well, just I'll give you the freedom of interpreting that. So love it and hate it.
All right, thanks. Well, to start off with the hate it. I really don't like Fitter Happier, but then again, I don't really like the Radiohead version of that song, and that's probably the only Radiohead song off OK Computer that I'm not really a fan of. So
Okay.
I'm glad that also carried over into listening to Radiodread's cover of OK Computer. So yeah, I just don't like the song. It's not really a song in my opinion. It feels like Stephen Hawking's just talking in the background. So yeah, that's always one song I just skip. But let's get to the Love It. There's plenty of Love It's on this one. I definitely love the way how they did Karma Police. It's definitely I can't even describe like that cool type of like synth piano they have going. I mean, I guess it's that traditional reggae sound that they produce, but I totally love their interpretation of Karma Police.
Yeah, Karma Police is actually the track that had Citizen Cope. I don't know if you've heard Citizen Cope's stuff before, but he has really cool stuff. I really like it. I thought Karma Police was actually really well covered by him. Let me give you one more Love It. I'll give you two Love It's and one Hate It. Since you gave me the Hate It, give me one more Love It.
All right, do you want more Love It?
Uh huh.
This one's tough. I'm thinking of 3 songs right off the back that I love, but if I had to like narrow it down to another love it would have to be Lucky. With I think that
Uh,
was Frankie Paul.
Frankie
Uh,
Paul, yeah.
yeah, that one was a really good one. I love that interpretation of Lucky as well.
In comparison to the songs you like on the original Radiohead album, would you say that those correspond with the songs you kind of lean towards on that album?
Not too much because when I listen to the Radiohead version, I think of like Exit Music and
Mm-hmm.
No Surprises right off the back of my favorite Radiohead OK Computer songs. So I was happy that Karma Police and Lucky stood out the most to me in the Radio Dread version.
And I think those two songs are probably the ones that most people are familiar with if they're not big Radiohead fans or have not completely, gone through and listened to OK Computer all the way through. Those might even be the singles for the album. Actually don't know. I didn't find that, but I think those were two really solid tracks. For my Love It, I'm gonna have to pick Subterranean Homesick Alien. You know what? I had listened to this album so many times, and when I went back to critically listen to this album for this podcast, I really enjoyed what was going on. And I don't know the artist. I don't know his catalog in particular. I actually have never heard of Junior Jazz. I'm gonna look into Junior Jazz now because I really, really was listening to it carefully, and that one kind of just like rocked my socks. And I had to listen to it again 2 times after the original listen because I was like, you know what, that's it. And I was really happy that we went back and listened to this album so I can kind of, get a deeper cut that, maybe is not the standard. Something that most people will listen to and just be like, okay, that's it. That's the one I like. Um, and my second like it, because I'm gonna give myself a second like it. That's why I gave you a second like it. My second like it is Airbag. The way the album starts is just so good. It sets a tone that bum 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 bum. It just, oh man, it gives you the tone right away. It lets you know that they're gonna come with their heavy reggae bass lines. They're gonna come with their guitar, their specific guitar style, and I absolutely loved it. Actually, no, that would be Karma Police, right? That first tone that
Yeah, that's why.
tried to sing. You know what? I I messed up, but I guess Karma Police would be my second favorite.
Yeah, that's what I liked about it too. It came with that heavy like bass. I don't think it's like a bass guitar. It almost sounds like a bass like synthesizer of the piano.
Yeah, yeah. It might be a deeper notes on the synth piano, but that just first couple chords in that song just hit so heavy, and it's so good. It's so you know, it just hits home, and it just lets you know, like, okay, look, this is gonna be a song that we're gonna do it perfect. We're gonna knock it out of the park. It's not gonna be the same, but you're gonna feel like it's the same. It's gonna be their own take on it, and they did it really well. As far as my hate it, man, I don't know. I can't pick one. So what I'm gonna say I hate actually is that I didn't have the vinyl version because apparently there's 2 tracks that we missed because the vinyl version had 2 bonus tracks. So I'm gonna hate the fact that I didn't get the extra 2 tracks.
Yeah, it looks like we gotta hunt down the vinyl now. Listen to it.
At least I gotta find the tracks because they're somewhere, and I know I
I'm
can.
sure. Yeah, they're probably on the internet somewhere floating around. I'm pretty sure if you type it in, we'll find it.
Yeah, I didn't know that until again I started doing the research, and like I said, I've had this album on my hard drive for I don't know how long, and I was super happy that we went back and got to listen to this, and I think that'll be the fun part of listening to or doing these throwback review albums. So since we have our love it and hate it out the way, we're gonna go to our next segment, which is rate it. And we usually do school rating system, but for the throwback albums, it's going to be throwback or throwaway. I'll let you go first. Throwback or throwaway?
Well, I'm gonna also give you my teacher grade, but I'll definitely
Okay.
give it. I'll definitely it's a throwback. It's a good album to listen to. I have no complaints on my end. It's very enjoyable. If you love Radiohead, I think you'll get a kick of this Radiodread cover. So if you're a Radiohead fan, I definitely recommend giving this album a listen to in the future.
So
As far
what's your grade?
well, here's my thing about covers in general. Okay, like there's in my opinion, like when you cover something, you can't really be good because it's not your song. You get what I'm saying?
Sure.
So
I got you.
so since this is not really original work, it's a cover of Radiohead's OK Computer, and
Hmm.
Radiohead's OK Computer, in my opinion, is definitely an A+ album. So I'm gonna and here's the grade that I'm gonna give Radio Dread for doing a reggae cover. Since he did such a good job, I mean the next best thing you can do for something that already has an A+ is I want to give Radio Dread some extra credit on top of that A+ for doing such a good job.
Oh, that's great. I thought you were gonna give me some bad news here. I thought you
No,
were gonna
no,
give him
no,
like a C or something.
no. I definitely like it, and like I said, like when it's not your work, it's 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 really tough to be better, to make it something that's already good, make it even better. And I think they definitely did something unique. But
Okay.
okay, Radiohead's OK Computer's already, in my opinion, like perfect. So, and Radio Dread, they did a good job. So I'm just gonna give them extra credit.
I understand what you're saying with the cover stuff, and that's kind of why I mean, at least one of the reasons why I picked the throwback or throwaway type system. For this is definitely for me, it's a throwback. First of all, it was an album that I actually really liked originally. OK Computer, one of the Radiohead albums I can go back and listen to over and over. And reggae, of course, like I said, I'm a big reggae fan. So if you go ahead and cover an album that I really like, if you do a good job, I'm gonna like it. So this is definitely a throwback for me. And since you did a grading scale, I'm gonna try to do a grading scale too. And I didn't think about it that way, where it's not really their album, but they did do something interesting with it. So with that considered, I would go with like a B minus. Let me say that a little more confidently. I'm gonna go with a B minus because I think the only thing wrong with it is that it's not their album. They did do something unique with it. They did take an interesting look and put an interesting spin on the album. But I mean, that speaks pretty high if you can get a B minus on something that's not yours. Like I said, they did get the blessing from Radiohead, and they ended up. There was a quote that said that they ended up, really enjoying the album, and they thought it was really interesting and really fantastic what they did. And I agree. I'm not too harsh on it. I think it's a really fun album. If you like Radiohead, I think you'll like it. If you like reggae, I think it'll be interesting, way to expand into maybe Radiohead music or
True,
vice versa. If
right,
if you're a Radiohead fan and you're not necessarily into reggae, if all you've heard is Bob Marley in your life or Ziggy Marley or the Marley Family, which I'm not knocking at all because I love the Marley Family. This will be an interesting way to kind of break out and kind of hear what the genre has to offer. It has many artists that are really fantastic, and like I said, I was really surprised that I've seen many of these artists. I've seen them in person in concert, and I've listened to a lot of their albums. I have a bunch of them on hard drive, and some of these are absolute legends. So I say, if you have a chance, if you like Radiohead, give this a shot. I don't think you'll be disappointed at all. Definitely throwback. If you guys like this kind of style of episode, let us know. We're on Facebook, AotW Podcast on Twitter. and AotW podcast on Facebook, and let us know. Maybe we could do an album that the listeners suggest on the next review.
I,
And
I just want to throw it out there for, any listeners out there. If you guys love the albums we're reviewing or want to listen to them, and you can go ahead and send us a message. I don't have a problem sending you the music for free. So if you want the music, let us know. We're more than happy to share.
yeah, absolutely, we'll be willing to share it, and you can give us the feedback on what you think on it. I think that'll be it for today. This was a fun album to listen to. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening, and be kind to each other.
Thank you guys. Bye.